Welcome back in. We are Black Girls Talking TV, where we bring the group chat to life and talk all your favorite TV shows. Today is all about season 2 of Ginny and Georgia. If you have not already, season 1 is up, so check out that video as well. I am Victoria. I am a psychologist.
I am Kamaria. I'm an attorney and a pop culture writer.
I'm Chi Chi. I'm a marriage and family therapist and a relationship coach.
All right, season 2. Where do
Yes.
we want to start?
So we end with things being very much so blown up in Ginny's world. She has her and Austin both leave to go to Boston to spend time with her father, and the mayor has just been reelected, and so Georgia is sitting pretty with her fiance and her mayor boo, and there's a lot going on in the camp with Zion. One being most importantly the fact that Zion finds out that Ginny has been self-harming and burning herself. What did we think about that?
I thought he handled it to the best of his ability, right? I was glad he got her in therapy. I do wish he would have told Georgia because when that's taking place, you need to notify people in the home so then they can secure the home to the best of their ability. So I get why he didn't because he wanted to maintain, this connection and rapport and trust with Ginny. But also teens are always like that. They're always like, don't tell, don't tell, don't tell. And sometimes you gotta tell.
Absolutely.
You gotta tell. You definitely don't want your child scapegoating y'all to be
Right.
at odds because you weren't open and honest. But I thought this part was so important because it just goes back to that theme of the importance of a father in the household. And just having your father with you, because even though all that stuff was going on with Georgia, for Ginny, at least she had another parent that she can go to and be open and vulnerable about this. And he immediately steps in and makes sure, we're going to get you in therapy. By the time, I think after a week, she ends up coming back home, and it's for Friday for Thanksgiving. And he comes back even after that to make sure that he takes her to her first therapy appointment. And so I was like, hands down, sometimes you just need that second parent because the one parent just can't do it all. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Georgia holding on to everything. Imagine having to also take this on, you know what I'm saying? With with the way that Georgia views things. And we also see that Georgia doesn't believe in mental health. So Ginny would have never gotten help.
Yeah.
So
And I'm
there's that
glad
as
they
well.
put that in there, that therapy piece of it, because this has been traumatic, their whole lives have been traumatic. And not only that, it's just the simple act of moving from city to city to city, the simple act of how Jenny knows her mother is always with a man, always with a man. It's these things are traumatic in and of themselves, let alone add some murders, add some, stepdad on my leg, add some different elements. It's they definitely need to be in therapy, both of them.
Yeah.
Austin too, but
Austin too.
glad they
Yeah.
introduced that, for Jenny.
Absolutely. So because again everything is blown up, right? Jenny, she ain't got her friends, but Braisha comes in and soups her up, and she's hanging out with them at their table. What did you guys think about that? Her kind of finding a place with also some black people at the school.
I liked it, right? You could tell at the beginning it was a little rocky. Jenny was like, I don't know what they're talking about because I haven't been friends with them all of the year and things of that nature. But you can see we progress through season 2, she sticks it out and their friendship begins to deepen with the friend group and also with Braisha. Especially as they, start talking about love interest and, boys and things of that nature, then of course they get closer. I think her and Brescia do have a moment where Brescia is I totally understand what you're going through with this AP English teacher. He is 100% racist, all of this stuff. So she was able to validate her experience in a way that, Maine could not.
No, yeah, I agree. And I think that's important for those friendships, I do think that the way Jenny's been raised, she just naturally is a little bit more gravitating towards the Mang, but I think that crew, but I think that it's nice that her friendship with Bracia was able to be spotlighted and developed.
Yeah. What did you all think about the complicated relationship with Marcus that, once he was like, hey, that was wrong. I shouldn't have kind of denied you in front of all the friend group when they were coming for you. And I guess they patched that up. Now they're in like a relationship. What are your thoughts on that?
I thought it was cute, the development of that. It seemed like a really safe space for her. He knew about the self harm, he knew about the things that she was challenged with in terms of her mother. And because he had his own battles with mental health, was able to comfort her. I think in the reverse, though, right? Because Jenny was going through so much, Marcus didn't really have a space for his emotions and how he was feeling. And so, as things were developing and growing for him in terms of this depressive episode that he was in, he didn't have the space to talk about it and say what was going on and how he was feeling. And so, naturally, he pushed Jenny away because of it. On top of the fact that any like self esteem challenges that he may have had of feeling like he was enough for Jenny were probably reinforced when Georgia had that one conversation with him when they were smoking in the room, and she was like, you know, you're damaged, I'm damaged too, and there's going to be a time when Jenny's going to realize that she can't come along with us, like we are, she's going to have to leave. And so when that happens, I just ask that you don't get in her way and you allow her to blossom into the full butterfly that we all know that she can be. She's going places. And so I don't think that helped. And in that moment, I don't think Georgia realized how much Marcus was doing for Jenny to keep her sane, to keep her from self-harming, because he was a safe space for her. So yeah, that definitely sucked, and I think definitely impacted them having to have that breakup towards the end.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Like the episode where Marcus was, it kind of started off from his perspective and talking about his depression and all that. Like that to me was very insightful. I really enjoyed hearing sort of that vantage point because he kind of just explained like this is how I feel and this is what's happening, and it was like, oh, this is very. It was nice to see that perspective. And see like in real time, so to speak, him going through it, having this girlfriend here, but also going through something very deep and for him. The in Georgia, girl, you don't talk to teens like that. It's just like at the end of the day, I feel like you cut off the potential for like what he could become. You know what I mean? Like she's just like written him off as like damaged goods, and it's like he's still growing. He's still growing, and so I get she's trying to be protective, but you know
Yeah.
getting like that.
Yeah, so then I think the thing that happens next is Paul moves in with the family, right? They decide he's going to let go of his apartment and come live with her and the kids. I was actually excited for Paul to move in. I feel like they needed like I don't know, a kind of man in the house. Though I will say it was kind of quick. I mean, if we were thinking about like in the real world, I was like, okay, girl, like we all know Paul that well, right? But in terms of this show, right? And because we do know that Paul, and also we forgot to mention this in season 1, but she had like him babysit Austin very early on. And I was like, girl, you just moved to town and you just leaving your kids with folk. Like, I thought that was wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was happy that Paul moved in. But we started to see like, okay, it's one thing to date and we live in our separate homes. It's another to date and live together. And I have kids and you're trying to somewhat parent them and it's different than what I do. And we need to be like in alignment there. So we start to see that struggle form a bit.
Yeah, that was a struggle.
It's good that they showed it, because it's like it's real. It's very realistic to have these two different individuals, different parenting styles, different thoughts on what's appropriate and what's not, kind of clash a little bit. So
Yeah, not only parenting styles, but what happens when a mom, she's been doing it all on her own, and now, even though yes, I want you here, I invited you to move in, and I think you're going to be a great father figure for my children. Still, like I got this. I can handle it all. I could do it. I could do it. I could do it. And Paul, he definitely pushed back a little bit on that when it came to Georgia wanting to run the social media, and he was like, "I'll get somebody else to do it." So Yeah. It was a good little struggle to watch for sure.
Yeah, it let you know like she can't like push Paul over, right? She can't run over him. He's like, I'll
Yeah.
let you do a lot because I'm allowing it, but not because I don't have a backbone. Yeah.
Do we want to get into Jenny's poem about her mother?
Yeah, that was good. I felt it in the seat. I said, "Yeah, girl, you go."
Yeah. It was a good poem. I mean, I did feel for Georgia, right? She has like those really big eyes. And so she was trying her best to like hold it back in that moment. Because I imagine as any mother to hear your daughter say these things, her truth, right? In no way was she trying to like attack Georgia, but she was just speaking her truth. Was quite difficult. But then, I commend Jenny for getting up there and doing that. I think that shows the progress that she had been having in therapy, right? I think her therapist had told her to journal. And so she started to kind of write poetry in her journaling. And that could be a big release to really say like, this is what I've been experiencing, right? Like her mom takes up so much space. She hasn't had a lot of space to feel her feelings and thus express them.
Yeah, yeah. How did you feel about the response to the poem and how she ended up feeling really bad because Georgia, instead of trying to address what the poem was about, she made it more so about her feelings being hurt.
I felt like it was a real moment, right? Like Georgia was feeling her feelings. I think this is a tricky space, not just for parent daughter, but even in romantic relationships where someone says their truth, you begin to feel your feelings, and then it's like, oh, do I stay present with them, right? So I can understand more about what's going on, or do I make it kind of about me and my feelings? I think in this situation, because it's a parent and child dynamic, Georgia, should have felt what she needed to feel with Paul, with herself, been present with her feelings, and then came to be present with Ginny, as opposed to kind of avoiding her for like the day and a half or whatever, not really talking to her about it. And Georgia just didn't know how to do that. She didn't know how to say, okay, I can have my feels in there, and that's fine. I also need to go and be present with my child. I think in, maybe adult child relationships, or even romantic relationships, it can happen real time. You can feel your feelings. You can take a pause. I'm just feeling, and then I want to stay present with you though, right? You can do that. But because as a child, I think that she needed to really be present with Jenny because she hadn't been in that way ever.
It's so interesting hearing you say that, like as your perspective as a therapist, like, and I want to hear yours as well, Victoria, as a psychologist. You know what I mean? Because like that the way you even said that, like just taking a pause and be like, I'm feeling my feelings, but I'm still being present. That's a very reflective way to approach it. You know what I mean? Like that's not something that crossed my mind, or but it's like these tools of like how to approach conflict when you're feeling something and the other person is too. And so it's like it could get a little messy if you don't really know how to navigate that.
Yeah. Well, I think for Georgia, the biggest thing for her was not even thinking that Jenny could feel those types of things,
Yeah.
because Georgia has been so busy trying to protect them from anything that she saw, right? Like, she doesn't understand that all the things that you have done, although for the benefit, the way that you felt were the benefit, like having to move schools around, never having friends, like those things are really hard on me. Just because I'm not in some shack and having to, bounce around from place to place because people are out to get me, doesn't mean that this was an easy life for me. And so I think it was a moment for Georgia to take a step back and realize, like, oh, okay, like maybe I haven't been the best, and there is emotional damage that can occur through the things that I do, even if I see it as way better than what I went through, which I think a lot of parents do. Like, parents, they go based off of what their childhood was, right, and like they're like, I just want to give you the world I never had, not understanding that even that can come with complexities that you're not necessarily prepared to deal with. And so I thought that was really reflective of that for Georgia and Ginny both. For Ginny to say, you know what, no, like enough is enough, and I do have feelings, and thank you for all the things that you have done for me, but this shit is hard. This is hard, and
Yeah.
I'm a teenager trying to navigate all of this. Still, again, with all this stuff in my head that I know about you now, and you're not giving me any space to feel just because we live in this really nice house. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
point. Good points. It makes me think of that psychologist used to be on Oprah's show, and she used to say no one escapes childhood without being harmed or without wounds from their
Mm-hmm.
parents. From their parents. You know what I mean? No matter how well-meaning, it's like they're gonna get something, and so this kind of like is an example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What are
Um,
you all?
but there was some good. Oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. Go on.
I was gonna say there was some good that came out of this poem because it was after that Georgia, although crossing a boundary, went through Jenny's poem book and saw that she had been harming herself. She calls up Zion. She finds out that Zion knew and she didn't know, but that's why she has been going to therapy. And so the first thing is like this really big scene that happens where Georgia goes up to Jenny's room and is like, "My sweet baby, you're so perfect. Why would you want to do that to yourself? Show me, like, how can I help you?" And that also starts to shift Georgia's perspective on the need for mental health services. And, again, just because their childhood didn't look like yours does not mean that they aren't having emotional struggles. So
Mm-hmm.
there was some good, and she ends up going to a therapy session with Jenny, and Jenny is also able to express herself again and say like, it's not about you, and you cross boundaries and you take up a lot of space, and it's hard to express myself and be emotional with you because it's simply all about you.
Mm-hmm. And I think in that scene, they did a great job of what I was talking about, where like Georgia was like, okay, I hear that you're like, this is what you're having, right? She was feeling, right? Of course, you're going to feel when that happens, right? Your child is telling you, like, hey, some of the stuff that has happened in my life, right, which you have been curating, has harmed me in some way. But the therapist did a great job of, doing that, moving them through that moment of where she was able to feel her feelings, but just stay present with Ginny.
Yeah, yeah. And she after that too, she was also able to show up. I think Jenny referred to her as being like super mom mode. They did all the things that they love to do together, watch TV, have the little whipped cream in the mouth and all that,
Mm-hmm.
watch all the
Yeah.
movies together. Uh, so it gave space for Georgia to kind of like let her defenses down and just be present as a mother for Jenny.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what happened soon after that is, and we briefly touched on it before, is that Marcus was like starting to feel depressed. And that led to him really checking out of the relationship, and then thus the breakup between him and Jenny. I felt for her. I really did when she like went running down the hall and she was like, come after me, come after me. And, he didn't.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, I really felt for her in that moment.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh, this is so sad because they were so good together.
Hmm.
Yeah, they were like a little
Yeah.
slow burn of a romance for me because, like, in the beginning, I didn't like them. I was just like, this is very just sporadic and like, but then you see, especially in season two, that they are like really, like you said, a safe space for each other, or at least on Jenny's part.
Hmm.
So I enjoyed their relationship, but yeah, you know, it's very realistic. These teens be breaking up, making up, breaking up. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the end though, she realizes that, you know what, he needs a friend, and so she shows back up for him even though she's hurt that they're broken up,
Hmm.
to be a friend. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops for season 3.
yeah, yeah, they're definitely gonna be back together.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's growth that I have yet to embody.
Okay.
But some of us need to be not no contact with some of these people. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes it ain't even like, but they're friends. They started off as friends. I think when you can transition back into friendship. Well, I mean, not that they started off as friends, but they started off
Right. They
as
start
like
off sleeping
friendly.
together.
I know, right? But I was like friendly, like they were like, friendly. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Because I guess they did all just start off. But there was something, there was the element of like, it felt like they were, I guess because he was like, his sister, she was friends with his sister
Yeah.
so much. It felt like he was like a part of the friend group. Not really
Hmm.
a part of the friend group, but like, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, he was
But
still sneaking into the window, and so because of that, that
I
is
think,
how he became a safe space for Jenny because she was able to like talk about the different things she was experiencing in this very friendly way. Um,
yeah. And
yeah,
it's
but
like
with
they
high
were.
sexual tension.
Yeah, yeah, it was like they were while they were pretending that there was not this sex stuff going on, they were actually developing a friendship. I think that's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
mean, because it's like they jumped into it, the sex stuff, and then there was this like, no, I'm good, I'm this, but they were friends, and even
Hmm.
when her dad showed up and was like, what's happening here? It's like, no, he's just my friend, mom, and
Hmm.
it's like, okay. Meanwhile, lost your whole virginity to this man, so okay, or this boy.
Right.
But yeah.
Oh, yeah. And we forgot to
So,
mention by this time, Ming has come back together. They
oh
made
yeah,
up.
yeah,
Oh
yeah. The
yes, Bang
crew
Yeah.
is back
is
together. Yeah.
together. But then we have Georgia getting into murdering again. She's like, we have the whole situation with what's her name? Cynthia? Is that the girl's
Hmm.
name?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cynthia and her
Cynthia.
husband.
Lost her mayoral bid in season one, but now she's going through, her husband has cancer or something, I can't remember, and he's like terminal with it, and so there's just this soft spot that Georgia begins to have for Cynthia, and there a bond forms between the two of them as Georgia kind of helps her out a little bit, and then she kind of takes pity on her and has mercy for her and feels like, let me just end his suffering, her suffering, so she can move forward, and she kills him, and Austin witnesses, and so it's just like the trauma continues. So what y'all
Yeah.
think about that?
That was a rough watch. Like rough watch. It's like Georgia, girl, we don't have to go to the extremes and call it protection. And Austin being in there, I'm like, poor baby already got PTSD, and this about to go up
Yeah,
here. Okay.
yeah,
Um, yeah, that was rough. That was, and then they played it
Yeah.
twice. They played it in two episodes.
Yeah, they did. They played it in two episodes. So we could see, because at first it was like, why is Georgia in here killing this man? And then when we realized, like, oh, Cynthia kind of helped her out when it came to Gil, which we haven't talked about Gil. But
Yeah.
Gil is Austin's dad who came back into town, and he's abusive. And so, Cynthia helped her out with Gil. And so now I think she feels like this is my return because Cynthia has somewhat expressed. I kind of wish that, he would go ahead and let go because I know he's holding on for us, but it's difficult for him and it's also difficult for us being in this space. I think this is when like that paradox comes up, or at least in Georgia's mind, a paradox is happening. Because I'm like, I know you think you're doing the right thing, but you got to stop killing people, right? Like, this
right.
isn't the way. You just can't be
Yeah.
murdering for folks because you want to, or because you think that you're actually doing something right, or even if you feel afraid, right? Like, you need to find a different way to deal with this fear, or a different way to show people that you love them, because murder isn't
Mhm.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It makes me think of like the reference you made to Joe in You, Netflix's You in the beginning, because I'm like, he got his reasons, and they all around protection or whatever. It's like everybody got their reasons why they do
Mm-hmm.
stuff, and that's what a lot of times when people don't take accountability is they get stuck in the reasons. Well, I did it because, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, bruh, it doesn't matter why.
Right.
You need to recognize that you can't do it, so don't do it.
Right.
But I'm still in George's corner.
I mean, I am too, but I'm also like, girl,
Yeah.
this, like, I felt like you had gotten by, right? Like, no one knew about this
Yeah.
first husband because he, like, the
Mhm.
body was never found, so he was missing. There's no way to prove for the
Mhm.
second murder because you got rid of the body. You were home
Mhm.
free. Now you went out here and murdered Cynthia's husband. I'm like, give this woman a hug. Invite her over for some comforting food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give her a little job in the mayor's office. Like, I'm joking.
Yeah. Not
Because
for
you know
real.
she want to
Something.
run some things.
And to your point, Kamaria, around like people have their reasons for things, but you still have to take accountability. Even the PI, right? Like his whole thing, like you said earlier, right? He was like this self-righteous, like I'm doing the right thing. Yet you're harassing kids. You know, I'm doing the right thing. Yet you're leading this man on as if you like him, right? Like
Yes.
you've created a whole
Yeah.
relationship with a whole human being who has feelings for you, and now you like, yeah, I gotta go because I can't find anything. Georgia, I'm a PI. I'm like, you gotta do better. You doing good over here, but what over here?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. We definitely have to write back to that. But before we get to that, let's get into Gil.
Oh yes, Gil.
Gil. So one, Gil shows up unannounced and is trying to be the dad of all dads in Austin's classroom. And we find out through all the flashbacks that Gil was an abusive partner to Georgia, which ultimately is why Georgia had him framed for the what was he doing?
Embezzlement.
Yeah, for the embezzlement, which he was already doing himself, but he wasn't doing it in large amounts where it was getting noticed. But she went ahead and cashed a check for $100,000 in in her name,
She should have went
and
higher.
got him. Yeah, and got him in trouble. And so we find out that that's why he's in prison. But yeah, he shows back up unannounced and then pops up on Christmas Day with gifts, and we see them enter into this abusive cycle again. What are our thoughts?
I think we just see more of why, Georgia has had her own trauma, why she acts the way that she acts. Because I think it was in season 1 that she disclosed to Ginny, maybe right after her sister left, that she was sexually abused by, I think, her stepdad. And that was the reason that she left her home. And then, she goes through, the experience with the first husband that she killed. Then she meets Gil. She thinks like, oh, okay, I've hit the jackpot. Turns out, no, Gil is also abusive. And she tried to leave, I think, a couple of times, and he, wouldn't allow it. And so then this was her way of getting away from Gil. He better be lucky all she did was embezzlement, because she got a little
I know
history
that's
of like,
right.
instead of getting divorced, she
Yeah.
was kill folk.
Right.
Yeah.
That part.
Right. So yeah, I guess it just gives more context to why she acts the way that she acts. And I guess it was also the first time we kind of got to see Georgia kind of like quote unquote like weak in a way, right? Like she's very strong. But physically, she cannot like compete or match a man's just physical strength. And so you see here where actually you see her fear in a way that we haven't really seen, throughout the other seasons.
Yeah. I would imagine too that she probably feels like because she did not kill him, right? Like
Yes.
whatever he could do to me, it still stands. And so even though now there's a presence of a stable man in her life that's about to marry her, I think she still feels like I remember all the things this man used to do to me, and I'm just straight up afraid. Instead of wanting to go and tell Paul the truth about what's going on, she still tries to handle the situation in the ways that she's done in the past. And it's like, no, girl, like you're in a different situation now. You still don't have to kill, but you sure don't have to try and fight this alone and take this burden on yourself, especially when it's not Austin, when it's Gil, Zion, and Paul all in the same room. And when Gil left, Paul was like, we don't like him, do we? And Zion was like, no, we don't. And so from then on, Paul always has his little spidey senses up about him and suggests that like we can get custody, we can do what we have to do. Like this doesn't have to be what it is. But again, Georgia was having that power struggle. She's no, I got it, like I can handle it. So yeah, but the biggest thing that happens is Gil tries to blackmail Georgia and says like, I will reveal everything about you if you once you're married, like I'm gonna have access to this money and to this power as well. So if you don't do what I say, I'm gonna reveal all the secrets about you. And because of this, Georgia feels like, you know what, let's call off the wedding. I'm going to go ahead and run the next town it is. And Jenny finds out about this because she ends up calling the place that the wedding was going to be at, the venue, and finds out that Georgia had canceled it. So she's like, no, like, we don't have to run. Just tell him the truth and see what happens. Georgia takes Jenny's advice, tells Paul everything. Paul's like, I'm pissed. What the fuck? You ain't tell me shit.
Right.
And then the next day, he calls Georgia and is like, meet me at my office. She thinks she's about to be arrested. Lo and behold, he puts his foot down again with the police and his lawyer there and is like, this is my wife. If you ever want to see my stepson, you're going to have to call me. And there's going to be some boundaries and perimeter, some rules around here. So what did you guys think about that entire dynamic of him just coming in and saving the day for Georgia?
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Paul. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Paul. And I know Georgia was all like in the beginning with all that stuff. She probably was like, should have killed his ass, like, because he came in and she was like, this is why you gotta
If I
finish
kill
him.
him.
But no, right? But yeah, no, that was nice. Very, very like I said before, Paul at every moment gets better and better and better to me as a character. And he shows why, okay, you're a formidable, option for her life, because he handles business,
Yeah. One thing I did forget to mention though was part of the reason why Georgia felt like they had to leave was because when he came to that house and started pushing up on her, and Jenny and Austin saw it, Austin went and grabbed that gun that was not supposed to be in that house and shoots what's his name? Gil. Shot Gil in the shoulder. Yes. And then they figure out this whole scheme, and in that moment Austin sees that, like, Georgia, my mom, is willing to protect me too, because she says, like, what are we gonna do? Call the police and say that this 9-year-old just shot his dad and there's guns in the house? Like, we're not doing that. He's not about to go to juvie. So you sit down, make this picture that we're gonna cover the gun hole with, and I think that ties back into him not saying anything about Georgia killing Cynthia's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, right, because Georgia gets arrested
Like, I didn't
at her wedding,
Yeah.
right? And he's like, I didn't tell anyone, right? So he's already beginning kind of like the pattern that Ginny is in, right? Where it's like a moment she's like her mother, a moment she's herself. And I think he has that too, where now he's like, I have to protect my mom at all costs. She protects us. And so I'm not going to say anything, which is a huge secret for a little boy to be carrying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It literally ends with him saying, but I didn't say anything. And he's like running after his mom in the police car. So that's going to be interesting to see how that picks up in season 3. And I hope they pick up right in that moment. Like,
Me too.
right
He's
there.
so big now. I don't know if you've seen the previews. Like, he's big now. The real life actor.
Big.
Like, he's not like that. He's growing up. Like, he's like 12 or 13 or something.
Oh, they got to get a
like,
new one.
And so
Yeah, they do, because what? You just go skip years?
No,
but this is what happens when y'all don't bring them out like the way that y'all supposed to. Like, y'all,
I know.
This has been 3 years now.
Yeah, so long. It's been a lot. But yeah, I don't know. One of the things I did feel like is like with Georgia, it's like her trauma response is one of those people who just doesn't, like, who puts on a mask, and doesn't allow herself to be seen. And that's part of like her not telling Paul. It's just that, like, you can't see me. Like, I have to put on this mask, and like, you can't see me. Like, no matter, we're married, yeah, but like, I'm gonna play a role. You're gonna see part of me maybe more than other people, but you're not gonna see all of me. And so I think that was some, at play in sort of her like not sharing all of that. But yeah, I don't know where they're gonna go in season 3 with this. Because Austin, at least the pictures I saw, the character the guy who plays Austin, he's a little bit bigger. He definitely noticeably bigger.
Yeah.
I mean, he was definitely bigger in season 2.
Boys grow like that, so
yeah, he was bigger in season 2. I noticed how they were trying to, like, make him look younger and things of that. But at some point, he's older. They might do a flashback thing, right? They might actually take us to what currently is going on, and then maybe flashback and piece the story together that way, because then you don't really have to have maybe Austin in all of those scenes, or if you do, maybe not as full, but I don't know. I'm over here trying to speculate like I
Yeah.
do movies.
Ah. Yeah, I don't
Well, we
know
gonna see.
what's gonna happen.
Yeah. Any other predictions for season 3 that we have not talked about already?
I think
I don't think
that
so
Georgia
either.
is probably gonna like get away with it because I'm curious like what evidence they're gonna have, except for speculation. You know, that she was in there and then he
Mhm.
died, but this man has terminal illness, so
Mhm.
you know. And I don't know if
Mhm.
they can really detect like smothering by a pillow. Like, how do they know you just didn't stop breathing? I don't know. I don't know.
Yes, they can. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Because what is it? Suffocation?
No, I think it's like so I'll be watching all these medical examiner shows. I think it's like what it is like I think this may be like strangulation, but and so it may be different than suffocation. But I think that it's something like they call it petechiae or something like that, where there's like blood vessels go in the eye. No, actually, no, that's strangulation. Sorry.
Okay.
I think there's something though that like they can. I think there's something they can tell
Yeah.
smothering. I've seen them be able to do it, but
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's
Yeah.
the same thing. But like I know with strangulation, it's like that. There's nowhere for the blood to go, so it makes the
Pops the eyes. Yeah.
eye vessels pop.
Yeah. Well, the only
Um,
reason why she was arrested is because when the PI found out that she was around when Cynthia's
Yeah.
husband passed, he felt like, oh, okay, she definitely has something to do with this.
Yeah.
And so when she did it, I'm sure she wasn't thinking like they're not going to dig into this. His man is terminally ill. Like they're just going to think he died by natural
Mm-hmm.
causes. There's no reason to have an autopsy. But I'm sure him sounding the alarms is what made the autopsy occur for her to even get arrested. So
Exactly. Yeah.
they got to have
But
something, either that, a camera in there, something.
right.
yeah.
But I think that she's going to like get out of jail. I think some way Paul is going to use his powers and lawyers and money and all of that, and she's going to
Mhm.
kind of, get out. But I don't know what's going to happen
Yeah.
with the rest of everything because I don't see how you can just like return to being, this mom and this community and your daughter's at school and Austin. Like I
Yeah.
don't see how this is all going to like go together. Um,
Yeah.
because definitely the other guy
Yeah.
that works in the mayor's office is now hip to this information because he didn't show to
Yeah.
the wedding. Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
he already knows about the embezzlement as well. And he held
exactly.
Mhm.
that. Yeah, he held
Mhm.
that secret. So
Yeah.
She gonna have to
So
kill
that's the
him too.
thing. Stop. But it's interesting. It's like they've jumped so far with her being arrested that it's like, whew, what they about to do? But
Yeah.
we'll see. I'm excited. They kept us waiting for so long. They kind of dampened my appetite. I will say that a little bit for season 3, but because I was so starving for it for like years. I was like, where is
yeah.
it? They had Ginny and
Yeah.
Georgia, who the girl who plays Jenny, playing some other role like some Netflix show, and I was like, y'all got her doing this. She need to be filming Ginny and Georgia. Like, where? What is this?
Yeah. But I
Like,
think the actress who plays Georgia, she had a baby. So I wonder if that slowed up
bruh.
Oh,
production at
that's
all.
Write it
But
why.
I'm like,
into
they
oh maybe I would say write it into the script, but it's like maybe
that's what I
she's
was gonna say.
like
Write it in the
I'm
script. Put it in the
but she might
script.
have been like no, I'm not working. I'm out. I'm
Yeah.
about to be a mother. Like I'm out. Like
Right.
you can wait or you cannot.
Yeah.
So maybe that is what it is. But yeah,
It
I was
definitely,
like, damn, where is
because
it?
that
Where
gives
is
a good
Ginny and
chunk of time
Georgia?
to have the baby and then, be off of work for
Raise
a
the
bit, all the
baby.
stuff. Yeah, it's definitely what it is. She
Yeah.
had a baby, which is real life.
Yeah. Yeah, real life. Well, we're excited. Thanks for, watching with us, and I guess until next time,
Yeah,
we'll
we'll see you
recap
in
once.
season 3. We will be
Yeah.
recapping. So make
Yeah.
sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you can stay tuned. And yeah, drop in the comments your thoughts.
Yeah. What are your predictions? So, all right, guys. See ya.
Bye.